Be sure to subscribe and click on the bell for notifications on future uploads. Hello everyone, Silverbard here, or you can call me Sully, and welcome to my 400th episode, where I'll be taking a look at 6, yes you heard me right, 6 movies that came out in theaters in July 2022. Beginning with the first movie that came out in the start of the month, for the 4th of July weekend, and it's a sequel to a prequel / spin-off to the Despicable Me movies, and I happen to enjoy it a little bit more than the first film that preceded it. Minions: The Rise of Gru. Director Kyle Balda and co-directors Jonathan Duvall and Brad Abelson have made a nice sequel to the 2015 film Minions that's a prequel / spin-off to the Despicable Me films, and this one has nice characters, a good story, and nice animation. While it isn't as enjoyable as the Despicable Me trilogy, it's a bit better than the first Minions film, as it's more of an actual prequel than a spin-off, gave me a couple of laughs, and has a bit of fun with the action, setting up the original film, and taking place in 1976. And while the final trailers did give away too much, namely the climax, they didn't harm my overall experience like what the bad guys did months ago, though I've grown to like it a little more the more I watched it. And likely, Minions Rise of Gru could be another one. Whatever the case, I did like this film for its colorful animation, neat action and characters, and its fun setup and humor. 2.5+ stars. The next movie I'll be taking a look at is the second film of this year from Marvel, and surprisingly, one that I liked. In fact, I like it a little more than the last one that came out back in May. Thor: Love and Thunder. Director Taika Waititi has made a fun and interesting Thor sequel with nice characters, a fine story, and cool effects. While I'm not much into Thor as his movies were mixed to me, with the first film being fine, the second film being a bit lame, and the third film being my favorite, yet this film, being the 4th entry, is my second favorite of the Thor films. And despite not being into Marvel with how their films and shows are connecting, I had a good time with this one as it has good comedy, fun action, bright and colorful sets and costumes, and a quite neat climax, followed by a sweet ending. Sure, there's lots of silly and goofy moments thrown in, and some of its pacing could have been tighter or looser given the film's atmosphere. I enjoy it quite a bit for how it went. It might not be as good as Thor Ragnarok, or be as engaging as the Captain America films, or as exciting as the first Avengers film. I do find it to be a fine amount of fun. 3 stars. And this next one is an odd experience, but an experience nonetheless. It is a loose adaptation, or animated remake, however you would put it, of a classic Mel Brooks film that I tend to like more than this one, but this one I don't think is as bad as people make it out to be, but I do acknowledge some flaws of it. Paws of Fury: The Legend of Hank. Directors Rob Minkoff, Mark Koshier, and Mark Bailey have made an okay animated action comedy with fine characters, an okay story, and okay animation. While it may seem like a bad animated film, it's nearly the opposite. But surprisingly, its plot, structure, and humor is similar, if not exactly, to Blazing Saddles, the Mel Brooks 1974 film, right down to Mel voicing one of the characters, and even co-writing and co-producing it. The only differences are that it's an animated family film with cats and dogs and set during the age of samurais, has a completely different climax, and more modern humor, mixed with the same jokes from Blazing Saddles, yet in a lighter and even non-racial fashion. Though while I prefer Mel Brooks' original film over this, I can't say that I dislike this one, as there's a couple of jokes that got a big laugh out of me, some nice animation, and several cute moments. Overall, it's an okay attempt at a family-friendly version of Blazing Saddles, but it's not close enough to becoming that, even with Mel Brooks being a part of it. So in Americans, I would give this movie both a 2.5 mixed stars and a 2.5 plus stars. I just don't know which one to go with. And so we come to the next film from writer and director Jordan Peele, and it's the third movie after Get Out and Us. And as for me, I would put this film in between Get Out and Us, where I kinda like Get Out more over Us. This one is sort of an in-between film. Nope. Director Jordan Peele has made a somewhat unique, yet quite disappointing film with okay characters, an okay story, and okay effects. But in most cases, it wasn't what I expected, and by the end, I'm not even sure what to think of it. It no doubt is around aliens and UFOs, but with a movie and filmmaking motif, sometimes referencing real films and shows. Yet some bits are quite vague, and others, especially with the alien threat and its design and behavior, are interesting, but not engaging. Plus, the horror and thriller elements aren't quite scary enough, and given how the trailers can't seem to find a decent way to market it, with the first trailer being mysterious and thrilling, and the second trailer being a bit epic and a downgrade, I kind of expected a bit too much from this and didn't get much into it. Yet it's better than Peele's previous film Us, but not near as interesting as Get Out was. And though I'm not one to make some silly rhymes out of a title, I would say that Nope isn't quite dope as soap on a rope that I hope to grope, and to scope a pope who cope to elope with a trope and not mope. 2.5 make stars. This next film is based on a mini-series of short films that you can find on YouTube that I happen to enjoy quite a bit. And as for the movie itself, I actually enjoy it as much as the short films, but not entirely. Marcel, the Shell with Shoes On. Director Dean Fisher Camp has made a cute and charming film based on the character created by him and Jenny Slate, who also voices the title role, and it has sweet characters, a nice story, and charming effects and animation. I've seen the original short films of the character on Fisher Camp's YouTube channel just before seeing this film, and for the first time, and they're about as cute and charming as the film itself, yet with going from limited stop-motion experimental ideas and character insights to full stop-motion with expressions, more characters, and a simple plot of Marcel wanting to find his family. And while several lines and jokes from the original shorts do occur in this film, and in slightly different ways, there's certainly more in this one, and are sometimes quite funny and very adorable. But even though it's simple in its documentary-style filmmaking, and I could have wanted more, especially given its ending, it runs at a decent hour and a half and has enough to charm and maybe please. As such, it's a nearly delightful film, even though the shorts felt more intimate and personal. 2.5 plus stars. And the final film I'll talk about is from DC and Warner Feature Animation, which I do kind of like, despite occasional problem here and there, which I'll get to in a bit, even if it is pretty vague. DC League of Super Pets. Director Jared Stern and co-director Sam J. Levine have made an odd but decently made film with okay characters, a decent enough story, and nice animation. While it's nice to see a DC movie on their animal characters, as obscure as most of them are, there are points where bits are not quite thought out or slightly obvious to where the story goes. And in making jokes, I laughed about once or twice, or maybe thrice. And as good as it is to see the Justice League in this film, I feel like a couple of them are a bit over-designed in their outfits. Other than those issues, including an after-credits scene that's more of a tease for the next DC film as opposed to a sequel, I found it to be an okay movie. It has its odd moments for sure and is rushed in places, but I don't think it's bad or quite good yet. It's a weird yet thoroughly decent film. 2.5 plus stars. And that is it. So thank you for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe, follow on Facebook or Twitter, support me on Patreon, and until next time for a new video.